Things have just taken a turn for the worse for Henry Cavill after this insane new twist where some of the writers for The Witcher got together to release this insane exposing of Henry Cavill and him on the set of The Witcher, which he quit recently. And of course, this is very shocking to a lot of people, and this has stirred up a lot of controversy over what is happening with what they are talking about here. So let's go ahead and jump into it and see what they have to say here. So I recently got this message, and somebody was like, do you want to know what really went down? And I was like, sure. This was something that was released on a podcast recently of some of the writers talking about Henry Cavill. So let me just read it. It says, at the beginning of the show, Henry was good to work with. A lot of unusual demands that made people feel like he wasn't really a team player, but that's not unusual for a big star. Though in TV, it truly usually doesn't happen until the second season. But in season 2 and 3, you mean when the show started to really depart from the source material, something shifted and he became really impossible for women to work with, which is always a big problem. Victimhood much? But even worse here, because the showrunner is a woman. He would try to overrule her and try to get changes made last minute across the board without her knowledge. Which, if you know anything about showrunning, is completely effed. The showrunner has to sign off on every minuscule detail down to the buttons on a costume. Female writers and directors were suddenly completely ignored on set, unable to do their jobs. Every department head was complaining. He started making comments. It wasn't a sexual thing. He wasn't grabbing anyone or being lewd, but it was disrespectful and toxic. All the same, Henry Cavill saw that the lore wasn't being respected, that they were completely wokeifying and completely just butchering the story of The Witcher. I think Henry Cavill saw that, and it started to make him more difficult to work with because he wanted them to actually be faithful to the source material, which makes sense. I totally am on his side when it comes to this. And of course, this is what happens when you have a bunch of feminists who are running a show like The Witcher, who can't stand it when a man is standing up for himself and standing up for the integrity of such a property. They can't stand that. They want them to be soft pushovers, and Henry Cavill is not a soft pushover, and they couldn't take that. I think that is what is happening here with a lot of this stuff. He's deeply addicted to video games to the point where it was like working with any other addict. He was distracted. He was late. He was obsessive. And a lot of people think that the misogyny came from the gamer world. Of course they think that. Of course they think that. Video game bro language is not how you talk to coworkers. And he wouldn't stop. Someone on the show compared it to watching Get Brainwashed by Q. What the heck? This is so ridiculous. This is so laughable, so hilarious in so many different ways. And it's so obvious that they're trying to drum up as much drama around all of this as they can. Now, some of this is probably based in grains of truth, but the fact is that at the end of the day, I think the core of it is that Henry Cavill was not happy with the direction that they were taking the show. I understand that. That is why he left. That is why he moved on to do Warhammer, and why he specifically said that for Warhammer 40k, he was going to be respecting the lore. That is something that is very important to him, which is why he is pushing for that, which is why he is assuring fans already that that is the direction that they're going to be going in with Warhammer 40k. This is so ridiculous. He would rewrite scenes, even without altering the other actors in the scene, until it was time to shoot. He decided that he didn't want any romantic scenes at all. No kissing, no shirtless scenes. He wanted complete control of the storylines, but really had no idea of the limitations of TV structure budget. He formed a weird alliance with one writer who was also a gamer, who eventually got fired after multiple HR complaints were made, which was probably the one writer that was trying to do the right thing with the show. Anyway, so you guys get the point here. You all see what's happening here. This is apparently some sort of huge exposing of Henry Cavill and the truth of Henry Cavill. And this is what I said about it the other day when I saw this. I said this seems to boil down to Henry Cavill being too awesome for feminists to handle, and him growing continually frustrated with the disrespect of the Witcher story. And I still stand by that. I think at the end of the day, that is where the core of a lot of this lies, and they can't stand it when people are trying to respect the lore, which is such a weird thing. These are people that are literally taking these stories and adapting these stories for audiences, and yet they are the ones that are having the biggest meltdowns when there are certain people that are involved with these productions that are trying to keep them faithful to what is going on. So, with all that being said, let me know what you think about all this insanity in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.